The last couple of weeks have been probably the worst weeks of this whole adventure I'm on to finally step into the cage and fight. I've gotten to understand what injuries are and what nagging injuries are, what minor injuries are, what major injuries are, and what I've experienced is that certain things in your body will hurt and they'll come back constantly, but it's not serious. And there's certain injuries that are very serious and are very debilitating, and that's what I have with this hip. So heading into this new week with a pre-existing hip injury, and you know, I've been bullshitting and procrastinating about going and getting it looked at, but I got a doctor and I made an appointment, so next week I'll be seeing him and figuring out what exactly is wrong with me. So Sunday night, you know, I go to bed early, get up on Monday morning, and it was very good sleep. You know, I really woke up with a lot of energy. You know, did some work on the computer, and then, you know, went to no-gi class. My hip still hurting, you know, a little bit. You know what I mean? Certain movements, certain positions, sitting down, getting back up, it would hurt. But you know, you gotta tough through it and you know, do what you can. I think that's another thing that's never lost in this is, even if something is hurting, even if something is nagging, just do what you can around it, and then you will progress. Even though I don't feel like I'm progressing that much, but there are certain aspects of training that I feel like I am getting better. So we go to no-gi class. We have a guest instructor, Cody Steele. I believe he is tearing up the scene in the U.S. in jiu-jitsu, and he is also an MMA fighter. So he comes in, he teaches us this. To me, it's very intricate, an intricate leg lock, you know, entry. It's a leg lock entry to a leg lock from butterfly guard. I'm not really a guy that has a lot of experience with no-gi, so it was a difficult technique to get used to. And at first I had no idea what I was doing. I was drilling and just asking questions because I didn't even know if I was in the right position, if my arms, if their foot was in the right position, because leg locks is a whole nother world compared to just, like, let's say the normal rear naked chokes, arm bars, triangles, you know, arm triangles, anacondas. It's just a whole nother part of the body that you have to master, and I've never experienced it. I think that's the first time I've ever been in a class where they were teaching leg locks. So it was fun, but at the same time very difficult to get used to. But Cody came over at one point and made little adjustments and made it very easy to understand. I just need to drill and practice it, and maybe that could be a go-to move. I have no idea. When it was time to spar, I decided not to spar just because of the hip, and I went over to the fitness area and did 30 minutes on the assault bike to get a little bit of more sweat. You know what I mean? I feel like in the last couple of weeks I didn't get the workouts I wanted. You know what I mean? I didn't get the sweat I wanted. I didn't get to test my cardio as much. So this week I said to myself, I'm gonna try to get on that assault bike as much as possible and sweat as much as I can. During my workout, my hip was hurting. You know what I mean? And I wanted to quit a few times on that assault bike, but I just said, just get that 30 minutes, you know, over with, and go home and rest. 4 o'clock, I go to MMA sparring, and I had the worst sparring I think I've ever had. Even though every sparring session is a bad sparring session for me because I'm getting hit a lot and not really hitting them as much. But this time it was just not really getting hit was something that got into my head. It was just my body was not moving the way I wanted it to. You know, my reaction to my sparring partners was not what I wanted, and it was very frustrating. You know, the frustration in the weeks before was more of me just not just getting hit in and not being able to hit somebody. You know, it's just it's annoying. But this week the frustration was more of like me not being able to do what I think I'm able to do, and it was demoralizing in many ways, you know, because the people that I'm sparring are not really, they're not even my size. They're not even bigger than me. They're like flyweights, you know, like Top Noi and Jada and even Loma. You know, George is probably the biggest one, and he's probably sitting at featherweight if he fought. So everybody's smaller, and I guess the speed is something that I need to get used to. But yeah, it was just bad. I sat on the side and felt like shit, and I went home and cried in the pillow. No, I didn't cry, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes you do not feel your 100% self, and that's what I felt on Monday. Tuesday, I wake up, and right when I wake up to just get off the bed, my hip just left hip just pain, like someone stabbing me with a knife in the inside of my hip. And I was like, man, I don't think I could do anything. So, you know, I canceled the mid session with Top Noi, because I feel like, you know, with a lot of the striking, you know, and kicking, you know, you're using your hips. So I decided not to participate in that. And as well, wrestling at 4 p.m. I had to skip that, because wrestling is probably the most grueling aspect of MMA, and your hips are needed tremendously. But I did go to the gym and, you know, got on the row machine for 30 minutes. You know, I was talking to one of the guys at the gym. He said, you know, that machine will help you get in shape, and I decided to, you know, hop on that maybe once or twice a week, and that's what I did this week. So this time I did 30 minutes on the rower, and then I went on the bike for 20 minutes and a couple of laps around the gym, and my workout was done. I got a massage because my hip was hurting so bad, and it did help a little bit, but not as much as I would like. I feel like in Thailand, if you don't go to the right massage places, they're not going to give you the right massage. They're not going to be able to massage certain parts of the body that you want. You know what I mean? That is actually really hurting you, not, you know, the massages that most people come to, you know, Thailand for. You know what I mean? You know, the happy massages. That's what I guess they call it. Happy endings, you know. You know, the rub and tub, or what is it? The tug and rub, or something like that, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so the massage I got was good, but not so good. Wednesday I wake up and, you know, going back on what I just said about the massage was good but not so good, I woke up Monday and there was no pain in my hip, so the massage must have helped. I'm being a complete hypocrite about the massage, but there are those happy ending ones. I'm not. Most of them are probably those things. So you gotta be very careful when you come out here. Make sure you spend your money well. 10 a.m. I go into jiu-jitsu and get some work in. Phenomenal work. Alex back in the driver's seat teaching us some guard passes and some entries into certain positions. A lot of drilling. I like the drilling. You know, the drilling is so fun. You know what I mean? And drilling with new people. I got to drill with Khalid, someone that I never trained with before, but he's probably newer to MMA than I am, training wise, and sometimes it's good to train with people like that as well. You know what I mean? Because you get to kind of teach them a little bit about what's going on, and yeah, just drilling for I don't even know how long, and then once they went to sparring, I switched over and went to the fitness area, assault bike for 30 minutes, I believe, and then did a couple of exercises, just like kind of like core exercises and leg exercises. Did a couple of those things, you know, stuff that I saw in fitness class, and went home and came back at 4 o'clock for MMA techniques class, right? So the morning, there was no pain. There was nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Nothing happened. But in the MMA technique class, before I talk about getting injured, the MMA technique class, right? So this week's class, you're going from striking to takedowns to positions on the ground, and then ground and pound and advancing. All the, it's all connected, right? From the class goes from you standing to you getting a takedown to you getting into the guard and damaging your opponent. So these are the step-by-step things, right? So this week, you're focusing on like single leg takedown. So when I was doing the single leg, the first single leg that they were teaching us to get your opponent to the ground, everything was fine. There's nothing wrong with my hip. Everything worked. But when I tried to get too confident and change it up, that's when I hurt my hip. Is when I went for the single leg, but then I switched it to the high crotch and I lifted my training partner up. And right when I lifted my training partner up, my hip, a knife was just in my hip, just stabbing. I let him go, toughed it out. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like to the point where I was, on the ground pain, but it was, like, it's the amount of pain you get. You see those like grandfathers walking with like one hand on their hip and they're like that kind of, that's how I felt when I would get, my hip would hurt. Like I would have to walk like that. So toughed it out, did the drills. It was fun. And Thursday, fitness class. Went to do the weekly fitness class on Thursday. 5x5s. Som was the driver in charge, and she puts on great workouts, and I can't complain about fitness because it gets you into shape. If you skip some fitness classes and when you go back, you notice a difference. You notice a huge difference, and that's why I notice every Friday or every Thursday I notice that I do need a little bit more cardio. I do need a little bit more fitness in my life. But going through those in the morning, phenomenal. In one of the stations, there was an exercise called the get up, where you like lay on the floor and then you get up without using your hands. When I was dropping to the floor, that impact of my like core hitting the ground aggravated or re-aggravated my hip as well during that exercise. Man, it just sucks, man. Like every day or every other day, when I go back and exercise, when I go back and train, that hip is bothering me every single time, and it sucks like terribly. Like in your mind, you're like, why am I fucking even doing this? Like, what's wrong with my fucking body? Why is my body breaking down? I have no answers. It's like your body is your body. I guess, am I not warming up properly? Am I not stretching out enough? Am I not doing the techniques properly to where I'm using certain parts of my body that are moving in a weird direction and it's not supposed to be moving in that direction? I have no idea, but it sucks. Friday I wake up, hip still hurts, so that means I'm gonna skip the strength and conditioning class, but I did not skip the mid session with George, because I thought I cannot miss 2 mid sessions in a row, because it's like I've been building off mid session after mid session after mid session. If I skip for too long, I think it just puts everything off track. So I went over there and did a few rounds, what I could, and I felt like shit. Like I felt like my movement wasn't that good, my footwork was terrible. I just was, my hands weren't popping like it should be. I can't kick with my left leg to save the fucking world. Like it just doesn't move that way. I wish it would, but it just isn't. And if I'm gonna fight in a few months, that's something that I'm just gonna have to like push to the side and say I'm not gonna even use my left foot or my left leg to kick. I'm just gonna use it to maybe, I don't know, just whip it out there once in a while, to tap the front leg when I'm in that position. But that's about it. It's just not working. Every session is productive, but this one I just didn't think it was as productive as the other sessions. I just wasn't moving. I think me on Monday going through that shitty sparring session in MMA class just kind of lingered all the way to Friday and kind of stuck in my mind and kind of like mentally broke me down to where I just had the shittiest week, and this was the shittiest week. Another thing that I want to reveal or confess is that for the past few weeks, ever since Singapore, I just have been like, I don't know, I don't know if it's stress eating because I just can't train the way that I want to. I don't know if it's being away from home for so long. I'm being homesick, but I just like every night, almost every night, not every night, but almost every night, I get these hunger urges, and I just order junk food basically and eat it. I shouldn't do it, but I do it. And I've done it probably more nights, maybe 3 nights out of the week, which 3 nights out of the week, everything that I'm like, all the weight that I'm losing, I'm afraid to go on the scale because I'm afraid to see the number because I feel like I didn't lose any weight. Even though like my body is getting, it looks better. It's just the fuel that's entering this temple is not the proper fuel to get into a proper shape. And maybe that adds to, me being more prone to injury. I don't know. But I do need to get that back on track, and once I see the doctor and see where my body's at, I do need to line everything up straight and say, okay, I gotta follow a good, decent diet, push through all the nagging injuries, and the serious ones, go to the doctor and get them taken care of, and I'll be back with you guys next week to see what happened.